Hello there, guys, and welcome back to Who Cares Nerds. It has been a fucking minute. The last review that I put up was way back in April about the Batman. So, it's now August, so 4 months have passed. Um, since then, I have been very busy with scouts and life in general, like work and just summer holidays. And I am now the new section leader for Girl Scouts. So if you want to hear my stories about what I've been doing to get up with that, go check me out on Scottish Hill Talking, where I do my mental health podcast. It's also available on Spotify, as well as YouTube and all the usual places that you can hear Who Cares Nerds. Um, but today I thought it's been a while. Like, what have I watched? I was planning on doing maybe a Stranger Things 4, season 4 review, but I think I might save that because Comic Con's coming up and I am obviously going to be cosplaying, and I have got all my stuff almost ready for going out as Eddie. So if you want to see that costume, check me out on Instagram. I'm just doing nothing but self plugs the first minute of this whole show, apparently. Um, but yeah, so I thought since it's just finished or just been released and everybody podcast wise it seems to be talking about it, I thought I'd take a stab at it. I'm going to talk about The Sandman by Neil Gaiman, a review of going back to my roots of when this podcast used to do. We'll also be reviewing the comic book of The Sandman. Well, I have the trade, the 30th anniversary trade to be precise. But like the show dropped on Netflix about a week ago. I've watched it twice, and honestly, it is a work of art. The guys that threw it together, directors, writers, everybody should be really proud of what they've made because it is really loyal to the comic. It does tangent off in certain bits, and they change things, but it does not discredit the comic at all. Neil Gaiman, who wrote the comic 30 years ago, has been one of the people from more than 30 years ago now, I think. He's one of the people who has put his heart and soul into making sure that this show does the comic book justice, which it does. And it's beautiful. It's like, honestly, the trade paperback that I've got, that does the first 5 chapters of basically the Netflix show, and then after that, I will need to get the other trades to compare it. But it honestly is a shot for shot remake of the comic. It's perfect. A lot of people have had in the past had sort of problems with recasting things and like obviously changing characters the way they look just to make it work in live action. In this, they changed the oh yes, right. So in the show they changed John Constantine, to Joanna Constantine. I think that's probably a legal thing with DC, obviously still using Matt Ryan on Legends of Tomorrow, which sadly has been cancelled. But Matt Ryan is brilliant as Constantine. They used, I can't remember her name now. It's the girl that plays Clara Oswald in Doctor Who. She plays Joanna Constantine, and she's brilliant. Like she's a lot like less fucked up looking than Constantine usually looks, but you can still see she carries the character over really well, and she does do a great performance as Joanna. But like the whole sort of Sandman episode, the very first episode, sorry, mine's going to be a bit blank there. The very first episode it's like shot for the first issue. It's very like you don't hear Morpheus talk most of some of it, but that is pretty much the way it is in the comics as well. For the first sort of comic, you don't really, because what happens is he gets captured by humanity, and then that causes a ripple effect of problems because he's not there to do his role as the king of dreams. And it just kind of follows his sort of, the first 5 episodes follow his sort of penance of revenge to get his tools back, which is like his helm, his jewel, and his sand. And it's shot for shot like the comic. It's perfect. I loved it personally. And it's also one of those ones that it's that good. It made me really want to go back and find my book, go digging through my old comics and try and find just so I could do this show and compare them as well. But it's beautiful. Like honestly, if you haven't seen it, I recommend watching it. Even if you haven't read the comic, it does a good wee bit to inspire you to want to go and read the comic. Even if you have read the comic, it makes you want to read it again. It's a great wee. It's a great show. It's 10 episodes long. Each episode's about 40 minutes, give or take. But it's great. As for the comic book, I might as well just do this all in one. Save me doing two. The comic book, it's not my usual kind because, as you could probably tell by all the gear that is in the studio, I say studio, it's my room. I'm like more of your casual comic reader. I like superheroes. I like basic stories. I do like the odd thing, but the thing that made me want to pick this up was I used to work with a lot of guys in Glasgow that run comic marts, and they always were talking about stuff like Saga and Sandman. They were the two that were always kind of ones that were always recommended to me that if I wanted to try and branch out a wee bit. And when I picked this up, I was pleasantly surprised because like the wording is, it's very high class material, if you know what I mean. It's very on point, and it's like the art is very detailed as well. So it's not my usual kind. I really like the panels with Lord Morpheus because all his sort of speech bubbles are flipped from the usual. So usually you would have like the white bubble with the black text. Lord Morpheus's are black bubbles with the white text, and it's a really good kind of change. It kind of reminds me of the old Batman cartoon from the 90s. Like the way that was made, because because it was drew on black paper. It's the same sort of idea you get with most of the scenes with Lord Morpheus in the comic. And there's in the comic there's like scenes with John Constantine. There's John Jones from Who is the Martian Manhunter, and there's also the demon Etrigan, who didn't show up I don't think showed up in the show. It might have been like a background character. I'm not sure. I think it's probably Warner Brothers, legal stuff. But it would have been cool to kind of see the two of them as well. I 100% recommend this book if you haven't read it, and if you haven't, what I would do, I would even recommend the show if you want to. I want to get some inspiration before you read the comic. Definitely watch the show because it is a good eye opener, and it helps. Not that you really need help for reading a work of art like that, but thank you, Mr. Neil Gaiman, for giving us the Sandman. That's my short wee review. It's only been 10 minutes, but that's me. I've got some more comics I think I'm going to review over the next couple of months. What I would recommend if you are interested in listening to some of my comic stuff, I am currently skint. So what I've been doing is I've been going to my local library, who have a decent graphic collection, where I found out that they have The Boys, so that'll probably be one that I'll do as well. I might do it like this, where I'll compare it to the show. I also have like other ones to do. I will try and do a Stranger Things 4 review as well. As for recording wise, the Who Cares Nerd stuff is kind of on the back bench just now, for a wee bit until I kind of find my feet. Because my pal Jordan and I from That Effing Guy on YouTube, go follow. We have started our own sort of side podcast on his channel called The Two Effing Geeks. And we do like wee sort of reviews of shows and like movie news and comic book news and stuff like that as well. Yeah, so if you want to go check us out over there, and I also, as I said, will be doing my Scottish Hill Talking one, which is my main sort of podcast just now because I'm trying to get one up every month. And that show is a mental health podcast about talking about how I've been dealing with my mental health over the month and giving some reviews of places to go and just kind of try to give some advice and some inspiration to people to try and get out there and try and sort their heads out. As I'm training to be a nurse, it's one of my things I want to try and keep on top of. So, and it's very important to everyone to kind of make sure you keep your grey matter working. But yeah, the next show I will hopefully have up before Comic-Con and hopefully might even do it in costume. But thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Go follow me. All my links will be in the descriptions, and I'll throw Jordan's links in there too. And lastly, for anybody who is a member of the Scouts or a member of any of the sort of scouting sections or guides or brownies, I am currently making these wee guys. So on YouTube, if you can see these, so that's my woggles that I've been making. It's wee Lego figures on the plastic woggles. It helps kind of spice up your uniform. I've been selling them on Etsy. So if you want to go check me out over there as well, I will leave the link in the description. You'll be really helping me out if you were to buy one from me. And thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to me ramble on about the Sandman. I will hopefully have another show up in about a month or so. And if I'm not here, you'll hear me on the Q&A guys on YouTube. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and I hope everybody has a great day. Bye!